Ta-da! Move that guy. All right. Why is this camera blurry, isn't it? I'm going to wait for some more people to join after messing up the microphone. All right, let's see how that goes. How is everybody doing? Let me switch over here to the comments. Let's get those wheels turning. How is everybody? Welcome to another rendition of Demos with Dave. I'm your host, Dave. I believe we're already up to episode 10. That's pretty cool. So I'm at the time of year where there's not as many things to show, and that is because we are currently knee-deep in new development. So developing lots of projects that are unannounced yet. A lot of new technology, a lot of engines, a lot of new everything. The new development will never stop as long as myself and my team are here. So, with that said, I do still have 3 different items that I want to show tonight, that I want to demo. The first one being the GP30. This is a legacy diesel that was in the newest catalog. I'm sure you've seen plenty of legacy Jeeps before, but we have made some modifications. As everybody knows, we have new legacy electronics with the 5 horns, the 5 different pitch levels for the bell. And one thing that the wonderful audio engineer that works here with us has done for this GP30 is change up the motor sounds a bit. After spending some time listening to the motor sounds in real GP30s, whether through videos or whatnot, he has modified the motor sounds to sound closer to those with turbo units where appropriate. So I'm going to move my second camera over here. And in doing that, I'm also going to change the microphone to that one so you can hear the engine over me. So 1 second. Woo! That is sideways. That is not how it shows on my other camera. That is funny. Episode 10, and it still feels like episode 1. This is great. There we go. That works. That's a good view. That is a much clearer view than my laptop has given me. I don't know why I'm so blurry on my laptop. But anyways, let's run this Jeep. Let's start it up.
This is the dispatcher. Start up and hold. Over. Okay, let's get to work. Out.
No. Or whatever. far too technical, Glenn. I can run a train any day of the week. But I can't run a cell phone and a laptop. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, there's our Jeep. Now, this is an EP sample, which stands for Engineering Prototype. So, obviously, there's no deco on it. You can see our labels all over it, screws and the red tape, which means the screws are for the body are not on. And this is what we use for our development purposes. So, our audio engineer uses this to make sure his audio balance sounds good in the actual engine itself, so you don't have any reverb or vibrations. It's also what the software engineers, our two guys, will use to tune the engine so that it matches speeds with all other legacy engines, as well as customize the lighting packages and smoke packages, as well as any of the audio related items that they're in charge of. And lo and behold, we get the custom code that ends up in the production engines. So let's turn this back up and I'll play some of the sounds so you don't have to listen to me drone on.
Brake test complete. Are we clear to pull? Over. Hold your position. Out.
And you'll notice on this sample, it has both low headlight down here on the low hood, and then a high headlight. Pay attention to the catalog art. That will show the actual position of the headlight as shipped. We just have these both on the EP simply for making sure we accommodate both locations if needed. So let's go through the horns. Now, there's 5 different horns. You'll have your default, which will be the horn that it plays out of the box when you receive it, and then you have 4 alternative horns. And the horns will be different per road name. So whichever horn would be the right one for the road name that you are getting will be the default horn, and then the other 4 will be different. Now, I've covered it before, but just to cover it again, to cycle through the different horns, if you have the Cab 2 remote, you hit aux 1 and then horn, or if you're using the Lion Chief app on your iOS or Android phone, you use the pitch sliders to change the horn that way. So this is horn number 1. Horn number 2. Something a little more modern. Something not so modern. I like that one. And then when you get to the number 5, it just cycles back to number 1. And then I'll run through the bell as well. The same way to switch the bell, it's aux 1 on the Cab 2 or the pitch slider in the Lion Chief app. Oh, yeah. And then back to number 1. It's a nice way of making your trains all sound different from one another, especially diesels. If you're a diesel kind of guy and you have a dozen diesels running around in your layout, at some point they can all start to sound the same. So this is nice. It kind of adds a little variety. Now, one thing to note is that this sound system is still in progress. So like the bell is not finalized, the order of the horns is not finalized, etc. But will be before production rolls out. So what I want to do next is go through the motor RPMs just so you can hear what the different levels sound like, the different notches. And doing that, I'm just using the Cab 2 remote. With the engine set in diesel mode, you just go up and down on the RPM, up and down arrows. That's pretty neat. Just wanted to show that. So we can move it away and head on to the other items I wanted to talk about.
Dispatcher, going to the register room to sign out.
All right, I'm going to switch the mic back over. All right. Sounded like you couldn't hear the microphone on some of them, which is, woo, there it goes. Knocked it over. For some reason on the cell phone feed is not always the most reliable. So if I put the microphone back onto my laptop, it works a lot more reliably. So I'm going to stick with that for the rest of the show. And since I got the buildings here on the other side of me, I'm going to use this cell phone and just hold it in my hand. There. So can you guys hear me talking? I just want to make sure that the sound's coming through on this guy okay without getting an echo. We're working on getting a new audio or microphone set up. Hopefully by next episode we'll have something that sounds a little better. Ooh. All right, so let's talk about the other two items I have here. Now again, these are EPs. Now the McCartney's chicken wings and things was more of a functional sample so that we could see the lighting. So the front of the building is not completely decorated yet, but we do have some of the graphics on the other sides of the building. You know, live and let fry. I mean, that has nothing to do with any band or anything, but pretty cool. But anyways, my favorite thing, I think probably your favorite thing too, is the lit up guitar on the front of the building. It has the cool little logo with the chicken wings, and it's all blue. And we posted a picture of it or a video of it last week or the week before, but I wanted to show it on the show just because I think that guitar is pretty cool. Our project manager, Megan, who handles accessories, she has chosen some pretty cool accessories and does a good job, and I think it's neat. And as long as I think it's neat, that's all that matters. Ha! All right, so that was a quick one. I just wanted to show the pretty light. All right, but let's get to the even cooler one, which, hey, also a Megan brainchild project. So this one goes off the electronics that we're planning to use in the burning house, and expands upon them by adding sounds. So this one is the Sergeant Stumpy's fireworks building. Now, obviously, this one doesn't have any deco other than kind of where there's holes in the building. It's got scorch marks. You can see the full deco in the latest catalogs. It'll look really neat. This one, again, was an engineering prototype sample just to for us to work on the lighting and the sound effects and whatnot. But this one's going to come with a control box like this here. Now, this was the one for the witch's house that we did a couple of years ago, and we just threw a couple labels on there to use it for this accessory. So it'll have its own deco when it comes with this building, and it'll look nice. But you got two switches. One's for smoke, and the other one's for the sounds and lighting. Now, the flickering LEDs are on as long as you have power to the accessory. And then the fiber optics going through the building, those are the lights that are in tandem with the sound effects that I'll play here in a second. First off, we can turn the smoke unit on. And now the smoke units, let me add a little fluid because we like a little bit of smoke, don't we? And just for your reference, if you move that aside, right there you can see where the smoke's added. So I'm just going to add a little bit in there. Blow down in there to pop any bubbles, and recommend anywhere about 20 to 30 drops of smoke fluid will give you a good run time on it. So now our little building's on fire. Hopefully it's hard to see on camera. Hopefully you guys can see the smoke running. Now this represents basically a fireworks store that has caught on fire, and the fireworks are going off at random and exploding. So these fiber optics go along with the sound effect, and these fiber optics, we're not completely happy with them yet. So they're going to still be under a little bit of development until we're happy with the fiber optics that we choose. So the ones you see here in the video are a little underwhelming, and I can tell you they're going to be a lot better in the produced version. But let's go ahead and activate it, and you'll see what it does. Let's go ahead and activate it. There we go. The sirens. It's kind of hard to see the fiber optics are actually timed to go off with the sound effect. So when you get the of a firecracker taken off, the flashing of the fiber optics goes along with it. So for first pass of fiber optics, it's underwhelming, but we're going to keep working at it because obviously if you got fireworks exploding, you want to see fireworks. So that's what the fiber optics do. So we'll keep working away at that, and then it'll be really nice when we finally ship it. Now, the sound effect with the fiber optics is on a timer. I believe it runs for about a minute, and then it'll turn off for a minute, and then on for a minute, and off for a minute. Now, the sound button here on the box, what that does is change modes. So your default mode is your sounds on and your lights on. But if you get tired of the sound effect after a while, you can cycle through the modes to where only the fiber optics are lighting up, right? And not the sound effects. And then you can also cycle it and put it in the mode where the fiber optics and the lights don't come on at all if you don't want the item to be running. And same with the smoke, right? You got the smoke on off button, so you can turn that off. So it'll all be explained in the manual, but we're trying to give you as many options as you can have with this kind of accessory, so that when you get tired of the sound or you just don't want it blowing up at that particular moment, you can turn it off. So these little control boxes, they come with quite a bit of wire on them. So you can move it away and, panel mount it on top of the layout, or, they got the screw holes in them. You can mount it down here, hide your wire away. So that's pretty neat. Now, the rest of the building, I'm going to turn the power off here and show you a couple other features of the building. The cords will actually come out from the bottom, and there will be two options. You can see the option I used here is everything's hidden underneath. And this is where you would probably drill a hole in your layout for the cords to come down through the layout. But we'll also have the option in this accessory to run the cords through a slot in the side of the building, so that if you don't want to drill a hole through your layout, you can run the cord through the slot, the side of the building. And lastly, there is a switch here. Now this one's not labeled. I didn't throw a label on there. But what this switch does is changes the smoke output. So the middle position is off, and then you're going to have a low and a high. So when you're in the low position, you have one of the two smoke units inside of this thing run, and in the high position, both units will be running. Which brings me to that question, well, there's two smoke units in this thing? Well, yeah, and so how this works is we actually use the same exact smoke unit that we use in most of our legacy steam engines. So there's actually a DSMK inside this little fixture that houses the smoke unit and the board. Now me, silly me, got smoke fluid everywhere because I was holding the phone in one hand and, bumbling about. You've definitely seen how graceful I am over this whole show so far. But yeah, you got your speaker, your switches, your routing board and all that, but there is a DSMK in there with a custom funnel that kind of shoots the smoke out in all directions, and the LEDs around the bottom. Again, this is just an engineering prototype, so you're going to see something that looks a lot better in production. But yeah, fun accessory, all new tooled base. So we are investing in accessories. You'll see even more accessories in future catalogs. I definitely know 2022 Big Book, you'll see a couple of all new accessories, and that'll be exciting. So nice. Excited for that one. We'll be releasing the code soon, and they'll get that into production after we find some fiber optics that we like better. All right, let me turn this camera off. And I'm back. I don't need that one thing no more. All right. So, hopefully you liked the few small items that I had to show on the show tonight. The next show will be in a couple of weeks, and I'm hoping to have a much more new and exciting feature to show. I'm not going to name it yet, but it's something I've talked about before, and I think I'm just about ready to start showing it off here. So if I can demo this new feature next episode, it'll definitely be a fun time. So, and maybe by then I'll have learned how to handle a cell phone and a computer, because I am very good at making a dink of myself. So let me go up through questions. There's probably a lot of questions on when is this shipping, when is that shipping, and to be honest, I have not paid attention to the shipping schedule. But the shipping schedule is on the Lionel.com site and is updated every month or so, so it's usually accurate. So I would recommend you look there. And it doesn't look like there are really any other more specific comments. Backwards I'm not sure, Fred, what you're asking. Lion Chief app, I have an old iPod I would like to use. The app requires an update to iOS. Well, so on older devices like older iPods and such, they didn't all have newer Bluetooth modules in them. You have to have a relatively newer Bluetooth module in your phone or other smart device for the Line Chief app to work. We have been on Bluetooth 4.0 for a number of years now, and we're actually moving into Bluetooth 5.0 here in the future. As you can see, some of the items in the newest catalog are Bluetooth 5, and we'll eventually be switching over to everything being Bluetooth 5 probably next year. So with new technology comes the requirement of new devices, and yeah. So, do you foresee making any when it comes to deco, you got to ask Ryan. When are we getting one of these featuring the Legacy Camelback? Zach, that'll be probably a couple more episodes. We will have the Legacy Camelback. I'm excited for that one too, and so were a lot of people. The numbers were good on that one, and honestly, it's a cool little steam engine that I think has needed Legacy for a while. So, really excited that we're doing that one, and I'll definitely have it on this show once I get the sample. And then other samples coming up as well, right? I mean, we all want to see the turbine. I'm really excited to see the Santa Fe 3000 when we get those samples, as well as other diesels and other accessories as we get them. And I also want to, again, not to repeat myself, but in the next episode, hoping to walk through one of our newest features on our sets. So, so yeah, it'll be fun times, guys. So I hope you guys all have a fun night. Go run some trains, and I'll see you next time. And make sure to tune in to the Workbench Wednesday shows with Ryan. He does a much better job at hosting a show than I do, and he's much more fun to watch, unless you're watching simply to watch someone make a fool of themselves, which I'm pretty good at doing that. I think I'm better at that than him. And then again, we'll also be having our next Ryan and Dave show, not in the too distant future, so watch the announcements for that. As always, have a good night and see you later.